G'day viewers and welcome back to Pop'll Fix It. I don't know about you lot, but this shaky handheld camera business is getting on my nerves, so this time we're going to do something about that. This time we're going to try to make a simple gimbal using PVC fittings. Let's see how this goes. Stick around. So if this is your first time here, welcome to the channel. I hope I can teach you something, you like what you see, and consider subscribing. Now, in my understanding, a gimbal is basically just a balance. You have a camera up here, weight down here, and a pivot in the middle, which means that this, because it's weighted, doesn't move around as much. And because you have an arm coming off it, in between there it needs to have a double pivot. So parts we have is two, I think they're 900mm lengths of PVC, 15mm internal diameter, so they're about 19mm outside, 3 caps to fit that pipe, and 2 larger caps. And with that, and a few little nuts and bolts, let's see how this goes. Right, well, the first thing we need to do is, these are caps, they're sealed, so we need to open these up. Those two, and one of these. So let's start with that. Now the biggest problem is, how do we drill that? Because it's cone shaped, and it's cone shaped inside too. There's no divot in the middle. There's no real way we can find a center point in that. Well, here's a solution. That's a nice tight fit. Actually, it's not there. Let's try the next one up. No, that's too big. Okay, well, let's put that on there. So that's sort of going to be a bit floppy in there, but we need to find the base point. And for this purpose, for what we're doing here, this doesn't matter so much. It just needs to have a mark in the bottom, somewhere near the center. You can't see that. Down the bottom there, I've made a divot with the head of the drill, just simply by pushing in, finding the center, and then just giving it a push. There's a divot there. That is our center point, so we can drill it out. And here's the thing, this is PVC, it's really soft, so we should be able to just, let's take that off. There you are, you can see the divot in there now, I hope. Yeah, kind of, there it is. Anyway, continuing. It's already coming through, see? If I was to put that in the drill press, that would have just chewed that to pieces. But give it a twist. There we go. That's pretty good. That is going to house that. That through there. That on there. And I'll just quickly get a spanner and a socket and lock those two together. There we go. That's done. One down, 2 to go. Only with these two, we don't just have to make a little hole, we've got to take the whole surface out. Now, Instead of the caps, I could have bought joiners that join two pipes together. They're not quite as thick. So I wanted to get the caps because they are a bit more sturdy. But now I need to remove that whole area. This one's okay. This pole saw will get in there nice and tight and take that out. That's good. This one though, and you got that size, which is, I think that's 36. No, that's 40 mil. Next size up from that is 51. It's too big. That's for a 50 mil cap. So I'm going to have to remove more material anyway because I think they're going to be too high. So for starters, I'm going to cut out the bulk with the hole saw, and you can use a handsaw, you can use a big drill bit and file it out. It's only PVC, it wouldn't take long to file. There's a myriad of different ways you can do it. I'm just using a hole saw because I have one. So we'll start with this one, and then we'll, I don't know, figure something out with that. Now you notice I wasn't clamping this with anything because I don't have a clamp big enough that would hold it properly. So I was just holding it as tight as I could and just very light pressure on the quill. I mean, going from inside, yes, it grabbed. That's why I turned it over. I already had a pilot mark there, and I just went through very slowly, very light pressure on the quill, so it wouldn't pull it out of my hands. The main reason, apart from I don't have a clamp big enough, that I didn't clamp it is I could have used a vise. It would have maybe distorted it. Not that that really matters, because, well, it's well and truly away from the edge there anyway. The other reason was it wasn't that bad, because if it was going to spin, it's just going to spin. It's not going to flick and take a finger off or anything like that. Yeah, it heated up in here just a little bit, but that's fine. It's out now, but now there's too much material there. I still need to trim that down. And here's the tip of the week. When you're sanding something down like this, how do you know that your edges are going to be parallel? At the moment, you can see that is absolutely not parallel. That's way out of square. I thought that the pad, the rest pad on my linisher was square. Obviously it's not. I need to recalibrate that. But in the meantime, how do you know if you're going to get a square edge? Some people will say, use an elastic band. Well, yeah, you can do that if it's tight enough and won't move. On this PVC material, chances are it's going to move, and you have to keep rechecking it. You can use a zip tie. Put your zip tie around your material, if it'll go in, there we go. Tighten it up, and if you wriggle it around as you tighten it up, you see it's still not square, it's still not parallel, so it can be way off. Not to mention, you're always going to have this little tab here that's going to be in the way, so that's out too. Next option is tape. If you have a flat surface, a flat edge, an even edge, stick it down on a flat surface, grab your tape and just run your tape around. If you don't have a flat surface, or you want to be even more precise, just pick it up and watch it. Stick it there on the edge. and just wrap it around, watching that the two edges stay together. Now, take that bit off, and now sand it down to the tape edge. You know exactly how far you've got to go. Now that I've shown you on that one, I just want to show you something on this. This is where you need to be careful with. This is 1 inch tape. 3/4 inch tape is even worse. If you can do it, if it's a longer piece, use 2 inch tape, and never use like electrical or duct tape, or gaffer tape as we call it over here. That's good because it won't lose its shape. It stays straight, whereas 3/4 inch masking tape on the edge there, but if I hold that and pull here, I'm now nearly or over 1/8 of an inch out. So you always got to be careful when using this with thinner, narrower masking tape. And never ever use electrical or the grade duct tape, the wide stuff, because that has way too much elasticity to it, and you will get an incorrect line out of it. Right, here's our two pieces. That's where I need to sand down to. Right, so they're both sanded down, and as you can see, down to the tape. Nice and even. Oh, it's a little bit high there. Oh well. This one's pretty good though. But has this big chunky edge on the inside. Simple. Sharp knife. Carefully. Just go around and cut it off. It's skipping around like that, but that's okay because we're going to go around and file that edge anyway. Just getting the bulk of it off. That one's okay. Now, you can see those two inside each other, they're going to have quite a bit of swivel to them. Likewise, the tube inside that one will have quite a bit of swivel to them. That's our next move. First thing we need to do for that is to find our center line. That's going to be fun, isn't it? Now I have my scratch gauge set to 1/2 inch because it's exactly 1 inch. So I'll just give it a mark there. That's pretty much right on. And do the same with this one. Just on one side. Because you only need to drill one hole. Alright. In the drill vise, open that up a bit, it's too tight. That'll clear. Just nip that up. You don't want it too tight, you just want it held there, otherwise you're going to break something. Find the highest point. It's about there. Drill it through. I'm using a 4mm bit because I intend to use 4mm screws or bolts, nuts and bolts. We'll get to that bit later. Now, loosen off your vise and just run that drill bit down. Hopefully it's long enough. No, I'll put it too far into the chuck. So, pull that down off there. Get off. There we go. I'm going to pull that down out of the chuck a little bit. You don't want too much because you'll end up breaking your drill bit. So you see there's quite a bit of shank there. So we're going to take it to about there. Out. Let's make sure we have enough length. Yes, we do. Right, that back in there. And now, because I've dropped the drill bit, I had to drop the table. Okay, I've set up the drill so that the quill right up, the drill bit is actually already into the plastic because I don't have enough extension on the quill to go right through that. So, right up, pop it underneath, and I've just lifted the table up underneath it. Now, we're going to run the quill down, and you want to look down the bottom and make sure that it hits the lowest point. I'm sorry, that's as close as I can get you in there. Basically, you find the lowest point, guaranteed that's directly opposite. That's not quite centered, but it's pretty close. It'll work. Now we'll do the small one. That's a bit closer to center. But we're not done drilling yet, because now we need to pop a hole in this. We need to figure out where first though. I'd say about 200 from the end will do. There we go. Looks like it's in the centre. Hold on a sec. We've got 2 holes in that. That's fine. Because the cap can attach through one of those holes and then through into the centre ring. There's the other side, but then we need 2 opposing holes to attach to that. See where I'm going? Draw across. And I mean, you can use loose material, it doesn't matter. I've just drawn on here because, well, it's a sacrificial board anyway. And I know the corner of it is square. This corner is square. So if it's square here, I know that if I draw a line with the square off the side, and then another line off the front, that's going to be square. But now's where it gets delicate, because what I need to do is measure the inside diameter. The inside diameter of that is 32 millimeters. So now, measure from the center line. Now that marks about 2 millimeters wide, so you need to account for that. So I'm going to measure 15 millimeters out from that line. You're right there. Flip it around and do the same. If I have 15 on each side, and that line in the center is 2 millimeters, that means that between those two is not 32 millimeters, because I just messed that one up. Let's go there. Now it's 32 millimeters, meaning that I can put that on there. I can just see the lines, which means that is exactly where I need my holes. Mark one there. One there, because I've used the existing holes to line up on this line. I know these are 90 degrees out. Now all I need to do is find the center on that. There we go, that's done. drill. One, two, three, four. Okay, I've just pieced these together like that just for now with the drill bit, just to see how much clearance I have, and I've got all the clearance there. However, once I put this through the center, obviously I'm not going to have that much swing, but I'm still going to have quite a bit. Also need to put a hole in one of the other caps, but that's, I think that's about a quarter inch pilot, 6.5 mil. Don't want it that big, so I'm just going to mark it with that, like we did with the other one. We're not going to go right through, we're just going to have the mark there, which is pretty damn close. This one absolutely doesn't need to be spot on, which is probably a good thing, because it's not. And this one we are just going to drill out by hand. So no, I didn't put it through my finger. That looks good. But now that needs to be that shape. Let's hit the linisher. Jeez, close. Okay, well, I have some hardware. I was going to go 4 mil, but my supply didn't have 4 mil long enough, so I ended up going for, I think it's 3/32 by 50, and pretty sure they're 20, could be 25. They're 25. So they will need to be cut down, and I grabbed, well, 4 bolts just in case I lose one, a flat washer, and a whole swarm of nuts. We're gonna need them. And the first thing we need to do, one of these, this one's okay, we can leave this one, it absolutely doesn't matter, so we'll leave that one, but we will need it in a minute. This one is to go across there. As you can see, it's way too long. So there's our first move. That through there. Hang on. Yep, through there. Put a nut on the end. Just loose. And we're going to cut that off. Just with a hacksaw this time. Nice and easy. And I'm just using a pair of needle nose vice grips just to hold it in place so it's not always moving around while we're trying to cut it. Okay, needle nose holding the bolt in there, in the vice, let's cut it. You want to cut it right down, you want to leave about 1 thread. Yeah, I thought that was going to happen. Let's try that again. There we go. Alright, let's cut. But we're just going to take it over the linisher and to the linisher and just clean that up a bit. go. As long as you can get the nut back on there, you're good. There we go. Alright, one down. Now's the tricky bit. I'll take that out. Put that aside for now. Now, I played around with this just to see where it would line up best, and I found that across there is those two holes line up perfectly. And I just put a little black mark there just so I know where to line them up. I also just went around and just sanded the edges just so they're not so sharp. I'll do a bit more on it just to sort of round them off a bit, but we'll worry about that later. So we put that there, not that one, that one bolt through there. Now again, this one, the length is absolutely unconsequential, but this one is the one we're going to be cutting. So I want to put through there, put a nut on it. Now we want to even it up. We want to get that pretty damn close to centered. So that nut about there. Let's wind that one in. It's not quite centered. You see, it's a bit further that way than this way. Let's just. That's 4.1 mil there. That's like 5.1 mil there. So loosen that one off. Tighten that one up. And just keep playing around with it like that. 4.5, 5, 4.8, a little bit more. And here's the thing, you actually don't want it tight like that. You want it so it's like that, nice and loose. So that is probably going to be our measurement. It's 4.89, 4.9. That just pulled over a lot. There we go. So you want to find the balance between movement and rotation. See, there's no movement, but there's very little rotation. We'll go with that. Just measure it. 4.8. That's pretty damn close. Okay, now we know where we need to cut this one. Let's do that. I'm going to put one of the other bolts in the other end, because remember this is and it's not going to clamp properly, so well, that's off, but it left a big chunky divot. So again, just going to head over to the linisher, knock that off a bit. Well, that's all the cutting and trimming done. Now comes the really fiddly part. First thing, put a nut on there. That's the long one. It doesn't really matter how far in it goes. Well, it does at first, because you need to get it into that hole. Let's make sure we're lined up. Yep, we're lined up. So that's not going to go. So you need to wind that right out. So there's about that much sticking out. There we go. Pop that through there. Pull that back, and now you've got to try and get that nut wound back. If you put enough pressure on it, it will grab on the PVC and you can just turn the bolt so it pulls it through. But if not, well, you have to get in there with a spanner. In this case, 1/4 inch. There we go. Now again, you don't want to wind it all the way in. Well, you can't anyway because you've got a spanner in there. Because, see, that's wound all the way in, that's too far. There we go. We'll go with that for now. We'll put the other one in. Now this is where it gets tricky, because now you can't get to it to put that in. And you couldn't put it in before, because, well, this one was in the way. So, very gingerly and gently put the nut in there. Sort of move it around, get the bolt over the top of it, in the hole. You should be able to drop that through the nut. So let's grab the nut. We'll get the spanner in there. Ah, you sod. There we go, that's in there. Get the bolt down into it and start turning it. Make sure you don't cross thread it. If it doesn't turn in easy, you're not doing it right. That's now started. Whoops, it's not lined up to the hole. There it is. So yeah, you've got to do about 8 things at once. Now we again need to get our side balance. So we know this one's going to come further in. Basically, just keep winding it in until you got the right distance there. Don't worry about that, because we are going to fix that in a minute. That needs to be about 4.8mm. Hang on. We'll do this because we need to do this anyway. Put a nut on there. See, that locks the two. That locks the nut, the bolt, but it can still slide. So absolute maximum of 4.3. So that still needs to come out a bit, which means that nut will need to go. That inside nut will need to go in a bit. Let's try that. That's pretty much perfect. Right. Now we need to even up this side, so you can see there's movement there. So this nut needs to come back. Hang on, we can just do that. Yeah, that's a bit too far. So let's back that off a bit. Pull it tight. It spins, but there's very little movement. That's exactly how we want it. Now on that one, we'll put a cap on. Then, flat washer. Then a nut. And if you can't get your fingers in there to do that, there's a number of ways you can do it. The simplest way, grab a socket, put the nut in the socket, make sure it's the right orientation, which that didn't. There we go. Just hold the socket upright, put it onto there and just start screwing. Again, if it doesn't go on easily, you're doing it wrong. There we go. And that pulled in just a little bit too much. It's a bit tight. So just unlock that nut. Unlock. There we go. Turn that one in just a little bit. Half a turn or so. There we go. Lock that back down. And it's, there we go. Now, try and get, oh bugger, that's not going to fit in there. Let's try that. There we go. Spanners on that. Lock that one together. Make sure we still have, yep. And do the same on this side. Now, if you're not quite sure, you can put Loctite on these, just the blue, not the red, it doesn't matter. But with those two locked together onto the same surface, they're not going to come loose. And now that tightened up just a little bit, I need to back this one off, I think. Let's just measure and check. That's a little bit too much. So this one's got to come back. Undo that. Pull that up a bit. That's not going to pull up easily. Back off a bit more. You may have to do this for 5 minutes just to get it great, perfect. Basically depends on what your idea of perfect is. But once you got it all locked together, it should look like that, and it should do that. It's too much. Bugger. See, the screw's turning too. That turns next to no movement. That's perfect. That's exactly what we want. Next bit's even more difficult. Here's our upright, because we have to put that through there. We have to get that bolt through there, but we need to put about 4 nuts on that as we go. So we need that through there. And then a nut on there. There we go. Alright, nut in there. Now we need to get this through there. The bolt into the hole. I've lost the hole, there it is. I know you guys can't really see that. Okay, that's, there we go. And now we need to wind that so that it comes out the other side. Oh look, how well lined up was that? It went straight through. Problem with that is, I need to get a nut in there. So, spanner on there. Screwdriver on there. Enough room, should be enough room for nut in there. This is going to be the really fiddly bit. You need to have about 6 hands. you need to get that in there. It's still not quite enough. Need to wind it back out just a little bit. It'll all make sense in about 2 minutes. In there on the nut, wind that out. Put a nut in there. And it's not going through the hole. It's lined up with the hole, but it's just spinning, so we need to do like a 3-point operation here. Alright, that's kind of tight there, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to get under here and with, I don't know, something, turn this nut back. So I can then get some more movement down the other end. Spanner on that one. You guys can't probably see a damn thing. Hang on a sec. How's that? Spanner in there on that nut. Screwdriver, turn through there. Now, eventually, oh, the one on this side's not moving. Awesome. Sweet. Now, all we need to do is get a nut on there. We can wind that right down. Let's see if it'll let us. There we go. Go. Now again, we need to wind those 2 nuts into the middle. So this one, this right here, will need some Loctite, and so probably will the ones on the inside, just so we can hold them in place, because it's just going to crush against this tube. So let's do that. Wind these in. That is pretty much right in, which means we can put a bit of Loctite on here and lock that one down. Whoop, there we go. There's Loctite. Put that on there. Go on there. Come on. Come on you go. Ah! Thread on. It doesn't want to thread on. There we go. Now I'm just going to put spanner on there, screwdriver on the other end, and just gently lock those 2 together. Bugger! You see what's happening there? The bolt's too long. Righto, let's just back it off a bit. No, I'm going to have to, because that's now way too loose, I'm going to have to take a little bit more off this bolt. Bugger, which means I've got to pull the whole damn thing apart. And just before I finish this down, here's the tip of the week. You thought I forgot. When you want to take the end, like file or cut or linish the end off a bolt, put a nut on it. That way, you know, if you can get that off, you're going to be able to get a nut back on. If you can't get it off, like as you saw a bit earlier, the nut wouldn't come off. I had to clean up the thread a bit more. If you can get the nut off, you can get a nut on. If it's not on there, you've got no way of knowing whether you're going to be able to get the nut on there or not. Let's finish that. Okay, let's put all this back together. Just want to snug that, don't want it tight, because we're going to need to move these nuts, and there we go, I now have clearance on it. So we now need to centre that. That looks pretty good, so it looks like all we need to do is pull this nut in. And I can't, because I just tightened that up. It should now turn. There we go. This is where two spanners would come in handy, because you've got to have one there and one there while you do that up, because I turn this, that nut's staying still. So if I can swing that enough to tighten it up. It's centered, but it's not tight. That's too far that way. Too far that way. That way. This way. You know what I mean. Back that off a bit. Pull that one up. That's not going to work. Yes, it will, because depth. It's 7.6. That's 9. Okay. Let's try that again. Push it that way. It's 8. While we're still pushing it that way, measure that side, it's just about 8. So that's pretty much where we need it. Need to tighten up this nut. This is where the Loctite comes in handy, but you notice I didn't put any on yet, because, well, I've got to pull it all apart again yet. But that's all nice and snug and it'll move, but there's no movement. So let's put the other stem in, and I'll figure out some way to attach the camera to that. Oh look, and we'll see how it goes. Alright, let's see how this goes. I do have, see if I can get you down far enough. There is a weight down there, but it's just a bit of square tube over the outside of it, because I don't have anything that'll fit inside it just at the moment, but positioned. Right, let's have a wander around. Whoops, that was a bump. Alright, it's still waving a little bit. I think it may be a bit too loose, but we're walking. All the cars in the background. There we go. How'd that look? Well, I was just reviewing that footage and it didn't look too bad. It looks a lot better than it did. All it's bright out there. Better than I was getting. Still needs a couple of tweaks. Like I think I'm going to put a handle and an arm rest here so I can hold it, and obviously put some more weight on the bottom of it. But I pretty much achieved what I wanted to achieve. Thanks for watching. Hope someone got something out of that. If you did learn something and you like what you saw, hit that like button down below. Way down there, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell. That way you know when the next one's coming. Leave me a comment, ask me questions. If you've got any ideas or any problems you want solved, let me a comment. I might be able to help. And I'll see you on the next one.